Okay, looks like people are still filing in. Um, but let's jump right into it and um, kick things off. So welcome everyone. This webinar is our monthly Welcome to SignNow webinar ran by a member of my team. So my name is Harry Radigan. I just want to make sure everyone can still hear me. It looks like my mic is getting picked up, so I'll keep going. All right. So before we get started, make sure that you're using the Q&A feature in Zoom. You can ask your questions throughout. It's just me here, so I'll do my best to take a look at them during the course of the webinar, hopefully answer some of them, while we're at that portion of the webinar, or if something is kind of the question is somewhat unrelated to what we're doing at that moment, or I'll come back to it, but I'll be sure to answer them all to the best of my abilities. And just a little bit of agenda setting. So the majority of this is going to be going through the basic tenets of SignNow, the platform. So that's sending documents, creating templates. What is the difference between a document and a template, of course? Organizational controls and admin settings. So for those of you that are bringing this on board and you have multiple users within your organization or workspace, what that can look like and the options you have there. And then we'll briefly touch on the different integrations SignNow has that are available for you to evaluate. And then we'll reserve a section at the end for answering any Q&As that we don't answer during the midst of the presentation. So let me go ahead and make sure I have my Q&A up. And thank you, Michelle, for letting me know you can hear me. Awesome. So first question answered. So let's jump into it. So let me just move around some of these great Zoom things. I have to admit I'm in the middle of a move, so I'm working off of one screen, which I'm used to much more real estate, but okay. So, and this is I took this from our support portal, but I think it's even better just to jump right in. So I'll move my Q&A so I can actually see the platform. Okay. So when you log in to SignNow, this is the screen you're going to land on. Because SignNow is an e-signature tool, the most important thing about SignNow is the documents that inhabit it. And what I like to start off right off the top is kind of defining what documents are in SignNow. So a document in SignNow can be made up of multiple files. So multiple, whether it's a PDF or a Word document you upload to the system, we're going to call that a document. And at the end of the day, we convert everything to PDF. So whatever file type you're uploading as a document you want to get signed, that's going to be a PDF. And if I click this big create button, this is how you'll get started. So if you've not signed any documents as a signer in SignNow before, or send any documents before, your screen will have a little bit less documents on it, but over time it'll fill up. And I think the most important kind of delineation we make between the two types of what inhabit SignNow are invites to sign. So this is, I'm going to upload a document or documents. I'm going to get them out for signature versus when you would want to use a template. So how we define templates are basically reusable sets of documents or a single document. So if you want to say, upload your employee handbook sign-off letter. That's something you're going to send to each one of your employees, right? You're not going to have a different version of it every time. So that's a really good use case for a template or a patient sign-up sheet that you want to just have a nice link to on your website where people can sign up, fill in their information, complete e-signature. That's the same document, but multiple people get their own copies of it. So that's kind of how we define templates. And they're really useful to avoid, if you're sending the same thing out a bunch, you don't have to upload a new version of it each time if it's really the same document just being sent to different parties. And before we jump into actually uploading a document, just here on the documents pane, how things are organized, this quick access, these are kind of the main categories that you might want to click around. So inbox waiting for me, that means that I'm a participant in the signing session or in the signing workflow, and the document's actually waiting for me to take some action on it. Uh, Outbox waiting for others, those are things that I've sent that I'm waiting on people to get back to me. So that's where if I wanted to say, hey, I sent this to Joe last week, I want to check on the status of it, you could either search, use one of the many search functionalities, or click on your Outbox and see it there. Completed and signed, those are documents that are complete. So you'll see we signify that as green. This was a one signer document. It was signed by me. So now that's complete. So that would be my completed quick access box. And then we had the ability to favorite. I don't personally use it, but I know some people do. And then drafts are if I've uploaded a document, maybe started adding fields to it, but I haven't sent it. That's where what drafts would be. And then some other helpful things expiring soon. So you can set expiration dates for the documents that you send out using SignNow. And that might be something where if you're sending a lot of documents with expiries, you want to check, hey, what's expiring soon? Do I need to change the expiration date? Do I need to send a reminder? Things of that nature. Awesome. So let's just upload a document. So there's a couple different ways to get it. Majority of the time it's coming from your device. So I'll go ahead and click upload. I've got my little consulting agreement that I am familiar with. And we'll take a look at this kind of what we refer to as the editing session. So here right away, in order to make it as, if I have a document I want to get uploaded, sent out to one person as fast as possible, you can enter in the email right here. You do not need to think about all the recipients of your document at this stage. You can always add more and manipulate this later. But for this case, let's call recipient one employee. I'm not going to add the email right now. I can do that later. And then let's go ahead and say this is a manager. One thing I would want to call out here is you'll see that we have signer and a little drop down. So we've pretty recently added the ability to not only just have signers, so people that are assigned fields within the document be sent and be a part of the actual signing workflow, but you can also have an approver or a viewer. So these are people that, if you set it up to go out in order, I can send it to my manager, Ben, to approve before it goes out to, say, the end client for signature. So that's a helpful tool. It can, some people like to have another set of eyes on things before they send it out, and that's where you would use the approver. It's still part of that single document invite. And then we, of course, have add CC recipients. So these are people that are notified at the completion that this is done. So this would be another chance for you to say, hey, when I send out this document, eventually I know I'm going to get it to this individual. So I'll just add them as a CC so I don't have to manually remember to do it. The system will do it for me. But for now, we can leave employee manager and move on. So this is the editing session. So there's a lot you can do here, but the end goal is you want to add fields to collect the information or the signatures or attachments that are required for this document to be complete. You'll see since I added 2 roles here, you can see them here. I also have this me in parentheses fill out now. So this would also allow me to just add my signature here out before I send it out. So that's pretty helpful. But here's pretty simple. I'm just going to add for the employee. Let's go ahead and say, let's gather their name and maybe a signature. And this is actually really is probably just a one recipient workflow. So I could remove it now, but just to show things are color coordinated. So maybe I want the end manager to initial after. So I'll capture my manager's initial after. With all these fields, if I click on, say, this name field, there's lots of settings that are available to you. Number one and most important is whether or not it's required. By default, they're mostly going to be required. And this is something we can talk a little bit about with regards to the settings for your signers, their experience. But by default, in our signing session, people will be guided through the required fields. The reason for that is twofold. It's faster, and you're guiding them to the things that you, when you set up the document, have indicated are required for them to fill out before they can submit the document. But there's different things you can do here. So pre-filled text, validation type, like if I wanted to add another text field here for email, and I want to validate that this was in fact an email address, I could do so there. And there's more things. So this one is a fun one. So if you've ever had a form where it's characters in boxes, so a lot of times it's like social security numbers, things of that nature, account numbers. This will space out the numbers. It'll look funny if you do it just for a normal text line. But we have all these settings there so you can capture the data in the way that is best matches, what a complete document would look like. All right. So the other thing I'd want to point out here, and let me just add one more text field for this person with a phone number. I'll add a validation type, US phone. If you want to add some text to the document, or a check mark or a line, or even today's date, these things are here available for you. So in my case, maybe I want to ask them here. I said, please select your preferred method of contact, but I didn't really give them I didn't leave myself any space for them to select which one. So I'm just going to add some text here. Email, and I'll add a little colon, and then I'll say phone. And this is something that I want people to make one or the other selection, and that would be utilizing the radio button. The difference between radio buttons and checkboxes, checkboxes, you can have a whole bunch of checkboxes and let people click one or none or many, whereas a radio button, you're creating a group of buttons in which people need to elect to choose one or the other. So we'll call this first one email. We'll call this one phone. Make sure it's required. Pre-selected option, you can say by default it's email. And I'm going to move these to where it makes sense on the document. And the reason I want to set these up is because and I'm going to be nice to my end signers. If they say they want email, then I want only to capture their email. If they want to contact through phone, then I'll only get their phone. And the way we do that is through our conditional fields, or conditional rules, I should say. So I'll add a conditional rule, and really this is show this field when the radio button group I set up equals email. And I can rinse and repeat for phone. I'll add another conditional rule to phone. So I only want this to show up when the radio button group equals phone. And now for my end signer, based upon their selection, and I think I have it automatically set to email, it's going to prompt them to provide that information. Note that I do have required set for both email and phone, but if I don't show them something, they can't fill it out, so it'll still work. Yeah, so that's the main tenets of adding these fields. One newer thing to the platform is the ability for custom fields. So I don't have many custom fields, but we know that power users of the platform, sometimes they set up a document, they set up their own validation rule with pre-filled text, whatever it may be. So you can set up your custom fields and just drag and drop them, so you don't have to go through the setup on the right side like I did as well. And you can always save new custom fields here. Okay, the other things that I would call out here are, excuse me, you can see the kind of overview of what you have here. You can add additional documents right here. I could insert a blank page here if I wanted to. And you can even move pages around within the stack. So if you upload a document, then you realize, oh, this page should actually come before this page, you can actually make those changes right within the editor. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. This looks good to me. The fields are set up. I already have my recipients. I'll click continue. And feel free to use that Q&A option in the chat or in the Zoom. Awesome. Let me move that back out of the way. So this is the sending screen. So this is where you're basically saying, I'm going to send the document I just set up to these individuals. This little toggle here makes it so right now I have them receiving it in order. So you can see the order here, signing step 1, signing step 2. This is going to go to the employee first. Only when they complete it will it go to the manager. If I wanted to just blast it to both of them at the same time, I could just remove this. Now they'll both get it at the same time. Awesome. So here, I do have a couple options. I have email or SMS, and there's a select list of countries that are available for the SMS invites. And to make this easier on myself, I'll just send it to me. And Harry, I'll make myself the actual manager. And here I have plenty of different options. I can customize this email. So this is the default email subject and email message that they'll see. If I want to say, this is my new subject line, this is my new email body, and I can also apply that to all recipients. So now the manager role will have that as well. There's a misclick. So first things first, you're saying who you're sending it to. You can say what you'd like to say in that message. So you can actually see the preview of what that email invite will look like. And then really what's important and where a lot of the options with regards to sending are captured is this little gear icon right here. So when I open this up, this panel shows, and the first thing is authentication type. So by default, when you send invites to users, whether they're inside your organization as a SignNow user, they're inside your organization, they've never heard of SignNow, or just someone else outside of your organization, we're not going to put a barrier in front of them signing the document. But if you'd like to add another layer of authentication on top of that, by default, we have password, and then your classic kind of other two-factor is a text message or a phone call. So if I want to set a password for this document, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would need to share that with my recipient in a different channel, or say maybe in my email body, I say, hey, this password is the last 5 digits of your phone number, something that they know. I don't have to actually write the password out in the message because then it's not so super secure. But these are available for you to put another layer of authentication in front of the signer so that you feel confident with regards to the signature. Days until expiration. So this goes back to the quick action bar. Documents do expire. This can be a useful tool. If you are sending something and you want someone to sign it sooner rather than later, you can put an expiration date on it. This can also be used for reminders, as you see below. So I can send a reminder every 1 day. I can send it every, let's say 3 days, send a reminder every 3 days after, and then send another one after 1 day before expiration. So you can use some combination of this to get people aware of the fact that there was a document sent to them. And then you have a couple different options here. Allow forwarding, show decline button on signature fields. So if you'd like to allow people to decline signature, they can decline, and we'll ask them for a reason, and then you will receive that reason as the sender to why they declined. So that's a good way to get feedback if you send something out, as opposed to them just not signing it. If you give an option to decline, maybe they'll get decline and then tell you why, and then you can make some adjustments, send them a new version of the document, and get that signed and move on with the transaction. I am the recipient. This is just a way to say I want to move into the signature session myself as the first signer. And then just like the email message, if I want to copy and paste this across all recipients, I can do so. Okay. And the last thing here, this section, so this is where you can, again, add CC recipients. You could do it before as well. So we give you different options of when. Sometimes people like to do that at the beginning. Sometimes, probably for me, I would do it at the end. But if I wanted anyone to be notified, and then anytime you see these question marks, there's a little definition for what you're seeing. Invite theme. This is something that's available for people in workspace or organization. I'm using the default invite theme of SignNow, but if you'd like to go ahead and set up a brand that matches your own brand, including a logo, color sets, it gets pretty in depth with what you can customize there. You can choose to use that theme, and you can always make one theme default for your workspace or organization. And then if I knew I was going to send this again, so I didn't start out making a template, but I said, you know what, actually this makes a template. This little button just will automatically make it a template. And then actions on completion. This is where you can say, do not email. I don't want the actual document to go out in the completion email, or I do, and also any attachments if I was collecting an attachment in this workflow. And then if I wanted to redirect people as opposed to our normal splash screen where they can download the document or sign into their account, if you want to link them somewhere else after the signing session, you can set that up here. Okay, so with all of that, let me go ahead and check the Q&A. How can I change the order of recipients? And with the checkboxes, how are we able to customize the validation, how many they can check? So I'll answer the first one around how can we change the order of recipients. That's pretty easy. You can just use this click and drag. So if I want the manager to go first, manager was now first. You can also, if you have a big set of the numbers, you can actually type in numbers here as well. So there's different ways you can kind of rearrange the recipients. And then I do have a question regarding the checkboxes. How would we be able to customize the validation, how many they can check? So currently, there is no way to constrict how many checkboxes someone can check. If there's a rule set where if I've checked this checkbox and this checkbox should no longer be available to me, that's something you can set up in a validation rule. It would just be saying, do not show this checkbox if these are checked. And then I have one question. Is there a way to move documents to folders to organize by client vendors? Yes. So let me get this invite out and we can take a look at that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and send this. All right. And let me answer, Michelle, your two questions now. So the first question is there a way to move documents to folders to organize by client vendors? The answer is yes. We do have the ability to add folders. You can even do subfolders. So within folders, new folder, client, hey, add a folder. So I added one within my folder. I can add just a top level folder here so you can organize things. You would want to move the document. So let's go here. That one's answered. And then the next question, let me go to my inbox. Just go to my documents. The question is around, does the inbox area show all docs in your account, even those not on your user login or only your own? So by default, this documents pane is going to show the documents that I have access to. And by default, you're only going to have access to the documents that either you were a signer in or the ones that you sent. You can share documents in a couple different ways and facets. With regards to that, we have a way to share individual documents, and we have a way to share within the concept of a team. So those are a couple different options you have there. So if you want basically everyone on the team to be able to see the documents, I would operate out of the team folder. If I want to share a specific document with Joe, then I would share it directly with Joe. How can you duplicate and move templates to the document subfolders? So I guess the question would be, you can create copies of templates, and moving things is as simple as saying, highlighting what you want to move and moving. So you can see I have all my documents. I've got my folders. I can move these to my new folder, client A. And now that's where they exist. So if I go to my new folder, client A, I have the document that we just sent all together. All right. And then the next question, how do we resend something that hasn't been signed? That's what I'd like to talk about now. So we'll hop into that. And just before then, I missed how approvers are different than signers. Approvers have no fields tied to them. So an approver is just going to see the document writ large and say, I approve this document. This document can move forward because they're actually part of the signing workflow. So if this first person was not a signer, but an approver, they wouldn't have any fields tied to them, but they would get a message saying you've been sent a document to approve. They similar experience where they see the document like it's an e-signature session, but they're not actually assigned fields. It's just around that they can either approve or deny. And then the similar question, how is viewer different than CC? So CC is someone who's going to receive notification that the document is complete. And if you set it up so they'll receive a completed version of the document at the end of the process. So in our case, we set up a two-signer, one after the other signature invite. After Harry plus 12 signs and after Harry signs, who has not received his invite yet because it's not his turn to go yet. After both of them sign, someone who you set as CC would receive notification that's complete and possibly a copy of the document if you set it up that way. Whereas an approver would actually, you would actually see their email here. And until they complete their step, the next step cannot complete theirs or they would not receive an invite. So that's an approver is actually someone who's part of the document workflow, whereas a CC is someone who's just notified at the end. Okay. And how do we resend something that has not been signed? So let me move my head. I can either cancel a document invite. I can replace a recipient here because this person has, which is me. I've not opened up the email. I've not worked on the document yet, right? So I have all these options available to me. I can even see the invite status details here. Or I can change the expiration. I can resend the invite right here. So this is in the waiting for others tab, which is this, something I sent, I'm waiting on people to complete. I would see it here, or if I name the document something better than consulting agreement demo, I could just search it in the search bar. I just have a lot of documents with that name. And I have all those options available to me right here. And even though this person isn't even involved yet because it's not their turn, I can replace the recipient or change their expiration here as well. Next question. When I go to move docs from templates to folders in the documents folder is not showing up as an option. Yeah, so a document is different than a template. A template's in the template folder. These are templates. So each time I instantiate this template, so if I click invite to sign here, it's going to create a version of that template, which is the document entity. So that's why they're logically separated. So you would not move a template into the documents folder, but an instance of a template is a document, and there you would move into the documents folder. So hopefully that answers your question. And to Michelle's question, yes, you can have shared templates with your team. So let's take a look quickly at teams. I have your version of team might look a little bit different than mine based upon how long I've been around and I'm on somewhat legacy. So you might only have one team in your, but in this team setup, I have team documents and templates. If I share a document or a template here, or if I share a template here, my whole team has access to utilize that template. So that's a great way to share templates among your team, is utilizing the team folder and specifically the team templates. Awesome. So I'm going to hop just because sometimes there's questions regarding this part of the process. And Sue, yes, you can cancel an invite for an individual. Okay. So let me just go ahead and pull up my mail. Okay. So hopefully, oh, what am I doing here? Zoom was give me trouble there. So this is that email messenger body that we set up. Kind of, you probably want something more descriptive than this. Then this is my new email body, and this is my new subject line. But you can see it says it's coming from me, even though our mail servers are doing it. And then I have my reply to set up to my name. So the reply to for this email is my actual email. So I'll go ahead and open this so we can take a look quickly at the signing session and see if anyone has any questions regarding that. All right. So this is the first signer that we set up, Harry plus 12. They have this handy start button that will bring them directly to what they need to sign. I set it as email was pre-selected, but they still have the option to switch it to phone. So you can see the conditionality, email or phone. So we'll just do email. And remember, you don't have to pre-select one of the radio buttons. I just chose to. Harry Radigan. I've signed as this person plenty of times in the platform, so my signature will most likely pop automatically up. But during the signature, you can collect the signature in different ways. And also something I failed to mention when you're setting it up, you do have some options with regards to what type of signatures you want to capture. If you want to force people to draw, I would encourage you not to. There's no difference with regards to the laws in at least the majority of places. And I've talked to a lot of different places about e-signature. And I'm just saying that selfishly because I can't draw my signature, especially not with a mouse pad. It's hard enough with a pen for me. So I'll go ahead and sign and click finish. It lets me know, hey, you're done. You've completed all the required fields or the required fields. Go ahead and finish signing. Document was saved successfully. Now it'll progress to the next signer. So this is the splash screen where I can get a copy of my document. Like we talked about in the setup of this signature invite, if you wanted to redirect people, this is when they would be redirected to that URL you set up. Can you change font size? Yes, you can. So at the top bar of the editor, there's your classic font family, size, color. All right. Okay, back to Sue's question. I think we can clarify that. So when I try to cancel one individual, it says all invites for the document will be canceled. So that is if you've already sent the document and one party has already signed, at that point you can change the less because it's a contract that's underway. It's something that's been captured against the document. In this case, this person has already signed. This person, or actually, I'm in the wrong documents folder. Let me get back there. All right, so if I go to my documents, personal folder, new folder, client A. So this consulting agreement, it's waiting for me. It lets me know it's waiting for me because I set myself up as the second signer. I'm also the sender, so I can actually replace this invite. But yes, if I cancel document invites, I think at this point, because someone's actually touched the document, it's going to say it's no longer valid. Hopefully that might be what you're experiencing soon. And if it's not, you feel free to email me, Harry@Airslate, after the fact. I was a bit late, so sorry. Yeah, so let's just recap because I think there's been a couple questions regarding documents versus templates. So a document, this is a document we're looking at right here, this consulting agreement demo. It's an instance of a signature invite that includes one-to-many files that are as a PDF. So document is our word for it. If I wanted to take the same consulting agreement demo that we'll just call it the underlying file, the PDF, and send it to a different two individuals. So if instead of these two individuals, I wanted to basically do the same thing, but send it to two other people and two other people after that, and maybe a whole bunch of other people, then I would say this really should be a template. So I can click make template, and then I can use what I've set up there with regards to the underlying file, the roles that I've set up, the actual fields that I've set up, including the conditionality, and that'll be templatized. So whenever I want to send it again to new parties or the same parties just at a different time, I can make use of that template. But each time I send it, it's going to create a copy of that, which is a document. So hopefully that answered that. And then with regards to timing, I do want to jump quickly into kind of a bit more of the administration of this. So our support portal is pretty handy. Hopefully it answers a lot of questions that you might have with regards to things that I didn't get to cover that are kind of in the finer details around here. I didn't get to talk about our commenting feature, but in our support portal, we talk a little bit more about that. But just the two other things that I wanted to quickly cover is for the admins of your organization's workspace, we do have this reports tab, which is helpful. You can report by documents or templates. You can see a leaderboard of who's utilizing the platform and some top level analytics, which are helpful. And the great thing about these reports is you can also, like, how many times am I using it? I haven't used a template in a while, but I can actually export that data as well. And then probably most important, I'm a member of many organizations, and you also see it referred to as workspaces. Um, Majority of our customer bases, they have one subscription and one organization or workspace with us, and that's plenty. But with regards to when you would want to have multiple organizations in your or workspaces with your one company, as if one section of your company has really stringent requirements around like what is happening with e-signature, and one has more lax rules where you don't need to set a password each time and all those things. And what I want to show is within this organization admin, this is where you're actually saying, who are the users of my organization? You can see whose subscription is active. If you ban them, you can see I have multiple admins within my organization. So Harry plus GM, if I logged in as them, they would also be able to see what we're looking at now. This is where I can set up new brands. So by default, I was using our SignNow brand, but I can actually create new themes and add logos and change colors and do quite a bit of things, customize the messaging. And you can, again, set this as default. So every time someone in your organization sends, default would be this theme. So including your company's logo, whatever makes sense to match your brand, which increases the likelihood that an external party will sign, right? Because they most likely have a relationship with you. So you want while they're signing using SignNow, we want to make sure that the relationship they have is with you, and that's conveyed. And then probably most importantly, and then I'll pause and take any last questions, is workflow settings. So we had a couple questions around team, and I think Teams is a really powerful way to make the most out of collaboration and having everyone working in the same platform. This is automatically add document copies from sent team templates to the team space. If you have your team space, I would turn this on. That just means if I'm sending I'm utilizing one of those team templates that you set up, send a copy of that out, automatically move it to the team documents folder, so it's everyone on the team can see it. So that's really helpful. Otherwise, it would be like ad hoc choosing when it goes to the team folder. And then here's a bunch of settings, and I won't go through all of them, that kind of change how the experience is for both your senders and their signers. So there's things like require signers to use only hand-drawn signatures. Again, makes it tougher for me to sign, but you can set that, and that means that anyone who sends from within your organization, they'll be requiring their signers to sign using hand-drawn signatures. You can, to encourage people to to mandate people kind of customize the messaging that goes along with those invites. You can say, hey, you have to set a custom email subject and for each one of these invites. That's possible as well. You can make it so that all signers, when you send out documents, you have to add two-factor authentication. This QES is a more intense authentication method that we do have an integration in order for that to complete. And then some actions after signing. You can add watermarks. You can set a default redirect after cancellation. You can receive email notifications when someone opens the document. So by default, it's like you've sent it to them, this person has completed it, you've sent it to the next party, this person completed it. We do know when people open the document, so if you'd like to also be notified there, that's possible. And then there's quite a few here. I don't have a payment provider set up within my organization, so as opposed to having the options that says, would you like to add a payment request? I just disabled it just to make it a little bit more fluid. And then with regards to integrations, we have a bevy of different integrations out there. I think the most commonly used ones are our cloud storages. And what this allows, if I set this up on the organization level, I can say all the documents that are sent using the SignNow platform will get pushed over to, in my case, a demo OneDrive I have. So this is helpful if you want to have copies of your documents in two places, or you're utilizing one of these cloud storages and you want to replicate the documents. So with that, let me hop back to Q&A. So I went pretty fast there. Okay, question. Will the email show the sender's email, or can you hide that it only come from the AirSlate link? If you hide it, when they reply, can you have it reply to a different email than the user's login? Okay, so that's where you would want to utilize the team functionality. So let me go to that. So so from within my teams, I have different settings. If, classic example is you want individual users of your account receivables to log in and access the platform, but if they're sending a notification, you don't want it to be from Bob in accounts receivable, you want it to come from the accounts receivable team. So that's where if you utilize the team space, you can set up a generic email. So in my case, when I send from the team space, it comes from Harry plus team, and that will be the reply to as well. So it could be, you can use accounts receivable or whatever if you want to set up a unmonitored inbox or a team shared inbox distribution list, whatever it may be, you can set the generic email there. Yeah, so with regards to if you don't set up if you don't set that workflow setting where they basically email when they open the document. So the actual invite settings, so I can see last activity of that person, but I can also see invite status details. I can see completed. I don't have anything that's been open but not completed. There is quite a bit of information here. And it will not show you top level that they've opened it. But it will show you if they're currently trying to fill it out. So I look at the overall status, still waiting for me. So I think on this screen it should show, but I would actually say the email is probably the easiest place to see it. If a team member is using a shared template, can they remove and approve a field during the approval workflow for a one-time situation? Yes. So if they are using the template, it's going to create a copy of that document, and they can modify it if they see fit. So the question around, can you also create another team folder with restricted access for specific team members only? If there's some want or need for different groups of people to operate as groups or teams, but you want logical separation, so like classic cases, HR, I would say that it might make sense to set up a separate HR org so they can work as a team together without any problems of someone in like the general organization having access to their documents or being, even if it was accidentally individually shared with someone, that those types of things and would warrant possibly setting up another workspace/organization. Can you send a template from the phone app? Yeah, you can. So the phone app is going to be a simplified experience. So it should be less, hopefully, painful than you're imagining, because there was a lot of buttons. I had options to click here on the phone. It's going to be pretty pared down. I think the team did a pretty good job of kind of making it as easy as possible to not only sign documents on your phone using the app, but actually take a file from your phone or use a template that you've set up somewhere else and send it out for signature. So yeah, I would encourage you to go download the app, sign in, and play around. Someone said, "Can you show how to do that?" But I apologize. I lost the context for when that question came in. Um, and I believe I unfortunately, this is the kind of end of the scheduled webinar, and I unfortunately do have to go. We do this monthly, and what I would say and what I've said in the past, can you link your contacts in your Gmail? You should be able to import contacts soon, or copy and paste them, but I would check in our support portal of what's new, for when that comes out, Michelle specifically. But I really appreciate all the great questions. And what I would encourage everyone to do is feel free to go to our support.signnow.com. There's great resources there, and the search functionality is pretty helpful to say, like, if you're concerned about teams, or if you're worrying or thinking about workspaces and things of that nature. And this recording will be going out, or should be going out, and there's a whole bunch of them that have happened previously that are available. Um, so I very much appreciate everyone's time today. I unfortunately do have to jump to the next thing. But like I said, we do this monthly. It might be someone else talking next time, a member of my team. Um, but if you have more questions and you want to hop in, even just for a little bit, ask your question and jump out next time, because you're all professional SignNow users by then, feel free to. And thank you so much.